How's it going, everyone? Today we have a story time of a Gen Z kid who actually thinks the sun is not even real. Not that it's fake, but it just doesn't even exist and that it's government propaganda. And he gets in a huge fight with his teacher over if the sun is like actually a real thing or not. I'm not even kidding. So sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and let's just strap yourself in for this type of story because it's a bit of an interesting one, and let's jump right into it. So anyways, we're going to call the subscriber who submitted today's story Liam. So anyways, there's a kid in Liam's class, and we're going to call him the Gen Z kid. And I just got to clarify that just because I call him a quote-unquote Gen Z kid, it really doesn't have to do that much with him being in the Generation Z. It's just like when you see someone and you call them like, oh, this super Gen Z person, probably on Twitter too much, probably on TikTok way too much, probably trying to cancel someone for no good reason. That's more what I mean, just so you guys are clear. So we're jumping straight into the meat of this story. Not a lot of background to start us off. Because this long saga starts one day in science class. So Liam is in 8th grade, and he's in a earth science class, right? So I don't really know how else to describe it besides earth science. Maybe it's called natural science or whatever, but they go over a lot of different things. Like they go over like, oh, this is geology, geography a little bit, the different biomes, the space, like they go into space a little bit, all that type of stuff. So they must have been on the space unit because they were talking a bit about the sun. And when the topic of the sun came up, the teacher, who, I don't know, we're just going to call, like, the teacher, right? So the teacher starts to speak about, okay, so we're talking about the solar system, stars are made of whatever. Speaking of stars, the closest one to us is the sun. And when the teacher says the sun, Liam, like, looks over and looks at the Gen Z kid. And he looks over and looks at the Gen Z kid because the Gen Z kid starts laughing hysterically. I don't know about you, but I'd be definitely kind of weirded out if, like, when someone, like, says, oh, yeah, and then the sun, and then someone's like, like, it wasn't even, like, normal laughter. It wasn't, like, a giggle or anything. Bro was just, like, on the ground laughing like an actual Marvel supervillain, bro. It was real weird. So the whole class looks over at him, kind of like, what? And the Gen Z kid can't stop laughing. And at this point, the teacher's like, hey, man, like, could you please try and keep it down? And the Gen Z kid's like, oh, I'm sorry. I was just laughing because you said that the sun was real. So, at this point, the teacher's kind of like, what? I don't know about you, but if I was a teacher and I was teaching, like, earth science, and remember, this was, like, in February. So this was, like, almost halfway through the year. I would kind of be like a little bit like, dang, I failed my student, bro. Like, I legitimately failed my student. If he's thinking that the sun isn't even real, like, I've definitely failed as a teacher, teaching earth science, bro, like kind of teaching natural science. I have most definitely failed if he thinks the sun isn't real. So the teacher's like, oh, haha, what do you mean by this? Because I think the teacher was kind of hoping that it was like, oh my God, it's a Gen Z quirky meme to say that the sun isn't real. I don't know. Like, if I was a teacher, I'd be like, I don't understand the kids these days. Maybe it's like a thing because kids these days are always back in my day, right? We said the sun was real, but I guess these newfangled like generations saying the sun isn't real. Whatever, it's just their thing, right? So the teacher was probably hoping that it was something like that. But then Liam's like, you want me to, oh, not sorry. The Gen Z kid's like, oh, so you want me to elaborate? Well, let me just let you know that you are so in the Matrix right now because you believe that the sun actually exists and it isn't just an illusion. He's like, I will bless you with my vast and copious amounts of knowledge in my brain. So Liam is kind of just like sitting there. The subscriber Liam is like, bro, what? Because, like, I don't know about you, but if I had a kid in my class who was basically mocking the teacher, like, kid was straight up mocking the teacher. And what was he mocking him over? Oh my God, you believe the sun actually exists? You're an idiot, lol. Like, I don't know. That's just kind of like a weird thing to be coming for someone over. Like, I don't know about you, but that's just like not how I'd go about it. But anyway, so Liam's like, all right, like, word, like, whatever. I wonder where this is going to go. So sure enough, the Gen Z kid's like, so you want to know the truth, guys? And he kind of looks around at everyone, and people are kind of like, some kids in the back are like trying not to laugh, right? Some kids are just straight up mad confused. Like, they're just like, huh? What? He's like, yeah, you guys want to know the truth? You want to escape the Matrix like me? Well, listen up. You know the sun? The thing that our Matrix teacher is saying is super real? You know what, bro? It's not. Yep, you heard me right. The sun, it's just not. And everyone's just like, what do you mean by the sun is just not? Like, that's not even a complete sentence. What? Yeah, so the Gen Z kid's like, the truth about the world is that the sun is just like everything else is there, but it's just like matrix programming that the sun is actually real. They want you to believe that, man. They want you to believe that. And like, I feel bad for you guys, but I also have sympathy because, dude, I was once you too. I once thought the sun was like up there and doing its thing. It's not, dude. It's just simply not. So at this point, the teacher's like kind of has a moral obligation to set the record straight, because if a lot of kids leave his class with the understanding that the sun isn't actually a thing, that it's a figment of your imagination, he will have been failed as a teacher. And if he doesn't get fired for that, I think he'd legitimately step down and be like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be teaching anymore. Maybe teaching isn't for me. If kids are leaving my science class thinking that the sun is an illusion, well, maybe I should go into a different profession, because I think I'm doing more harm to the new generation than help. I mean, that's just straight up how it is right now. So yeah, sure enough, the teacher kind of like fights back a little bit and is like, I really got to like put my foot down. The sun is obviously real. I have no idea what you're talking about. Fair enough, right? And, the Gen Z kid's like, whoa. Like, I know, like, the Matrix is paying you big bucks to keep quiet about the whole truth about the sun and everything, but come on now. Like, come on now. So yeah, the Gen Z kid and the teacher getting this big old spat about, like, if the sun is actually real or not. The teacher is, like, trying to, like, I don't know. I think he thought it was a joke at first, but then he started to realize that the kid was being more serious. So the teacher's like trying to is like a little forceful in his responses. He's a little harsh, but I think he just believes that he's like, okay, these are 8th graders. They're probably quite impressionable. I got to make sure that they know that there's not a chance that the sun isn't real. Like, I don't even want them leaving my class thinking, okay, well, the sun is like 90% real, but there's a 10% chance it's actually like set up by the government. He's like, nah, none of that, not on my watch, right? Not in my class, not for my students. So yeah, they have a big like going back and forth, and eventually the teacher kind of just straight up says like everyone, don't listen to this kid. He doesn't know what he's saying. Yeah, the teacher went about it maybe a little bit more harsh than he should have, but at the same time, like, I understand why he wanted to set the record straight for the sun being real. I can definitely understand where he's coming from about that, right? However, here's the thing. The Gen Z kid was not happy. So as they were leaving class, the Gen Z kid actually goes up to Liam. He's like, dude, can you just like believe what's going on right now, man? Like, it's just not cool what the teacher's doing in there. And obviously Liam is like, what are you talking about, bro? Yeah, so the Gen Z kid's like, dude, like, are you not on my side on this? Like, what? He's like, dude, I just don't think you're right on this one. The Gen Z kid's like, oh, so the Matrix, they're paying you off too? What? Wow, okay, I didn't realize that you and the teacher were totally against me. And Liam's like, dude, what? No, like, relax. I just don't know if I agree with you on this. He's like, no, it's not a thing about agreement. It's coming for me personally. If you say that the sun is real, then you hate me as an individual. Obviously, that's a pretty goofy statement, but what are you going to do about it, man? The Gen Z kid is like, I'm right and you're wrong. So, yeah, what are you going to do about that? So the Gen Z kid storms off. Little does Liam know that he just legitimately, like, made his life 10 times more difficult. Which is like, I don't know, it's something about like, I don't know if you've ever seen those like domino meme things where it's like you hit one domino and then it like stacks up to something huge. So this was one of those life events where you do a small action, you really don't think anything of it, but the next like month of your life is 100% determined by what you just did. So little does Liam know, but by telling the kid that he actually believes in the sun, which is, oh my God, such a heinous thing to do. You actually believe in the sun? You believe in, oh my God, are you insane? No, so like, he doesn't know this, but just by telling this kid that he believes in the sun, he's legitimately changed the trajectory of his life for the next month by a huge amount. And you guys are about to see exactly what I mean when I say this. Okay, so let's skip ahead to the next day. So during science class, the teacher's actually a little late. This science teacher is never late to his class, right? So that was a little weird. And when he gets in, he looks all a little bit flustered, a little bit confused, whatever, right? And, you don't really think much of it. Or Liam doesn't think much of it at the time. Obviously, in retrospect, it's important. So you might be asking, okay, why is the teacher so flustered? So the teacher pulled into school, dropped his car off, and then went inside to teach his first period class in the morning. He then went back out to his car because I think he either forgot something or he left something in there for him to get later. And so he goes in there, goes back to his car, and he sees that his car is keyed. So if you guys don't know what it means for a car to be keyed, never do this, by the way, but some people, when they look for revenge, what they'll do is they'll take a car key or they'll take a house key or any type of key, they'll go up to a car and they'll scratch up the paint job. It's a mess to get fixed. It's not a good thing to do, but it's very intentional. So immediately the science teacher's like, all right, this was not like this when I left it last, and this looks mad intentional. Like, it's not like he kind of like scraped up against something. It's like, this is intentional, right? So what ends up happening is the science teacher reports this to the principal, the security, whatever, and they look into it. So that's why the teacher was late to class. And I don't know how word got out. I think some kids saw, like, I don't know, they must have seen that his car was all scratched up. So word got around really quickly. Yeah, so word got around really quickly that someone must have keyed the car of the science teacher. And so immediately, right, there's a little bit of a suspicion, like Liam's like, all right, well, if someone's going to do it, the Gen Z kid seems a little bit unhinged, and he did just get in a fight with the science teacher. The science teacher did kind of go off on this kid too, so it's like, probably is this kid. If we're just using our brains right now, it most likely is this kid who did it. So this is where things get really interesting. So word spreading around that like, oh, someone keyed the teacher's car, whatever. And in the last class of the day, as the science class it's around like middle of the day, so I think like a little bit after lunch, the last class of the day. So Liam is sitting in class. He's probably not paying attention and thinks like a difficult math class. Look, dude, it's the last class of the day. I don't know about you guys, but for me, last class of the day, I'm normally like completely gone. I'm not even paying attention. Like, not even trying to be disrespectful to the teachers, but I'm thinking about the weekend. I'm thinking of, you know what I mean? So these two kind of like faculty members show up at the door, and they kind of motion for the teacher who's teaching the class to come out and talk to them. So this is a little weird. This normally doesn't happen. So the teacher steps out. So Liam is kind of like looking around like, oh, wow, like what's up? Because normally like that means that they need to talk to the teacher about something kind of serious, something kind of urgent. If they pull the teacher out of class, and they also tell the teacher like, come over here to talk in private. So the teacher re-enters the room, scans around the room, obviously looking for someone, and then locks eye contact with Liam. Yeah, so Liam is like, why am I locking eye contact with this teacher? This is low-key kind of weird, kind of sus right now, right? So then the teacher, after making eye contact with Liam, starts walking towards his seat. And he's like, whoa. Starts putting two and two together that the teacher is walking towards his seat after being called out by administrators to talk. So the teacher comes up to Liam and stands by his desk. And the whole class is staring at Liam at this point. Look, if your teacher abruptly stops teaching to be pulled out of class and talked to by these administrative scary people, and then they go straight towards a kid in class, dude, you know this kid's in trouble. So yeah, Liam is like, what? The teacher goes up and says, hey, Liam, could you step outside for a second? And Liam's like, oh, God, what? So he gets up, walk of shame right now. But it's not even a walk of shame where you know what you're supposed to be shamed about. Like, you don't even know what you did, right? You don't know what's going on right now. And so Liam gets up. He's like, what the frick, bro? Like, what is going on? So he steps outside. And the two administrators are like, hey, can you come with us? And he's like, what? Liam's like, okay, he's not like an insanely great student. He's not like, you know, the squeakiest clean person ever. But Liam doesn't get in trouble. He doesn't do anything he shouldn't do in school. He more or less follows the rules, right? He doesn't really cheat on stuff. There is no real, it's not like he's a kid that gets in trouble all the time, so he, like, knows why he's getting in trouble right now. So Liam's, like, super confused, no idea what's going on, and he's just, like, walking out, and, like, he sees his teacher walk back into the classroom to keep on teaching. Liam is then walked up to the principal's office. So the principal's sitting there, and, you know, she's like, hey, Liam, could you sit down for a second? Liam's like, And she's like, so I know that, like, rumors have been spreading around that someone, like, keyed, you know, your science teacher's car. And So we got an anonymous tip, we got an anonymous report that it may have been you. So we just did a little locker search, and, well, we found this. And she picks up this key. And Liam's never seen this key before, by the way. And also, Liam did not key the car. If it isn't clear, Liam is not the one who's responsible for this. But she picks up this key. In this key, it's super obvious that it has all this, like, little bits of paint on it. And not like it was, like, going through wet paint. It has little chunks of paint. And the little chunks of paint are clearly the paint color and very clearly from the science teacher's car. So at this point, Liam's like, that's not mine. Like, and the thing is, bro, like, it looks so bad for Liam right now because, oh yeah, someone set him up, of course, bro, when that was actually the truth. But look, I don't blame the principal here. I mean, a kid says, oh, that wasn't mine, but then has a key in their like locker that has the same paint as the science teacher's car who got keyed. Like, it's pretty obviously it is Liam, even though it actually isn't. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment car down below. That'll be the secret word of the day. And while you're in the comment section commenting car, make sure to check out the pinned comment as there's a link to the Spotify page I use, which I upload my stories as podcasts on there. Please make sure if you use Spotify to go on there and follow me and listen on there. And also there's a bunch of other links to other channels I post on, so subscribe to all those to help me out. And of course, leave a like in the video right now. Press that like button to claim your very own free nothing. Let's get back to it. So anyways, right, Liam is like, guys, I don't know what to say. Like, I know this looks bad. I did not do anything. I didn't key anyone's car. Like, this looks really bad, but I don't know where this came from. He says, maybe the person who did it is trying to frame me. I know that sounds super out of left field. I know you're not going to believe me, but I swear I'm telling the truth. The principal is like, Liam, bud, I would love to believe you, but I mean, we're just looking at the evidence right here. So Liam's like, whoa, who was the anonymous report? And, you know, the principal's like, well, the whole point of it being anonymous is like, we don't know who it was. So Liam at this point is like, it's that person. Like, that person told you that it was me, so they must have slipped the key into my locker. The truth was, the locker was locked. However, there are vents on the locker, so you could slip a key into it. Probably not that difficult. So at this point, Liam's like, you got to believe me on this one. Why would I do it? And the teacher's like, well, I know you have that class with the science teacher, so it's not really looking good. Like, it seems like you may have a motive. Maybe he gave you a bad grade. Maybe you just don't really like him. You have the key in your locker. It's just not looking good for you. Like, I don't know how else to say it. And Liam's like, is there any way for us to, like, is there any way for you to prove this or anything like that? And they're like, Liam, come on, bud. Like, we know what actually happened. Here's the thing, guys. Sometimes in life, things will happen by chance. But these things that happen by chance will completely change the course of your life. Sometimes you can't control these things. And this was the thing that Liam couldn't control. The groundskeeper was walking by and was walking in to get something, right? I think the groundskeeper walked in, was trying to be all quiet, was trying to just kind of like, you know, just very not trying to interrupt anything, but had to grab something. The groundskeeper overheard, is there any way to know? And he must have known that they were talking about the whole keying incident. The groundskeeper speaks up and says, hey, like, not to like intrude or anything, but there actually is a way for us to know. So obviously Liam's ears perk up and he's like, what? And the groundskeeper's like, well, you know, we do have some cameras around the school. We installed them a couple years ago after there was a break-in overnight by some teenagers who stole some supplies from the chemistry room. So we have some security cameras installed around. We installed them in some of the main entrances. We also installed one, though, where the faculty car parking lot is, just to prevent any, carjackings or, people doing anything. And, the principal's like, what? Like, I didn't know about this. And the groundskeeper's like, well, it's true. And he says, I also know the guy who can get us the logs. So at this point, the principal turns to Liam and is like, hey, look, if you're lying, we're going to know. And just so you know, we'll treat you a lot better if you admit right now that it was you. And Liam's like, no, it wasn't me. And this is going to be proof. And they're like, all right, well, I mean, you got a pretty strong conviction, but just realize if it's not true, it's going to catch you doing it, and you're going to get a worse punishment if you're not truthful right now. Save us a lot of time. And Liam's like, nope, I'm telling you 100%. So sure enough, the groundskeeper goes and tries to find the person. At this point, Liam has been sitting in the office awkwardly for like 20, 30 plus minutes. So eventually the groundskeeper comes back, and he comes back with this kind of like tech guy or whatever who's like, hey, what's up? Like, I heard you needed some access to the security camera footage. I'm definitely the guy to come to. What time and what cam? So they're like, parking lot from like, I don't know, 8 to 10 like in the morning. So the guy's like, all right, well, I'll do a little scrub. What are you looking for? And they're like, all right, so someone keyed the car, and they pointed out, they described the car, so the guy knew what to look for. And he's like, all right, well, I'll be back in like 15 minutes, and I'll tell you what I find. So yeah, it's probably one of the most tense 15 to 20 minutes that Liam has ever been sitting there waiting. Because the thing is, Liam also knows that maybe this footage or this cam footage isn't that good. And it's like kind of hard to see who the kid is, right? And maybe it's so unclear that they can't say it's anyone else besides Liam. And then of course they're just going to have to assume that it is Liam. Or maybe like this guy who's like, I don't know, wore like a hood and a mask the entire time, so no one would have known, and maybe he was going to place that hood and mask in Liam's stuff as well and get him screwed over. Like, who even knows what's going to happen, man? So eventually the IT guy comes back. He's like, hey, if you guys want to come with me, I'll show you what I found. So Liam and the principal and some other administrator very like awkwardly, or not awkwardly, but Liam is very tensely walks over because it's a bit of a tough situation going on, right? And he really wants to be exonerated for something he didn't do. So they walk into the room, they go to the cam footage, and the guy has it paused on a certain moment. So he's like, all right, like sit down, like take a look at this. Hits play. And it's like 30 seconds go by, nothing happens. And then this kid walks over, very clearly keys the car, and like looks both ways and then walks out. Thankfully, the security cam footage isn't so like crappy that they can't figure out who it is. In fact, it's actually pretty good. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever seen those like found footage, like security cam footage type things. Dude, it's like 3 pixels at like 1 FPS. Like you might be recording on a potato, bro. Like it's just like, why? Why even record if you can't see any of it? So yeah, it is pretty clearly, it's pretty clearly the Gen Z kid. And so, the principal doesn't necessarily recognize all the students. But the principal's like Brian, that's pretty clearly not, oh, sorry, not Brian, that's the last guy. Liam, that's pretty clearly not you, but do you recognize this kid? And Liam's like, yes, this kid is in my science class. He got in a big fight with the teacher, and like, it's pretty obviously him. So they call for the science teacher to come in. And the science teacher initially thinks it was Liam who like keyed the car because like he was informed about who like they found the key with. So the science teacher came in probably expecting to like talk to Liam about like, oh, you can't be doing that. I don't know what happened between us, but you got to use your word, something like that. And they're like, hey, do you recognize this kid? This is the kid who like keyed the car. And they're pointing to the security cam footage. And so the science teacher looks in and says, yeah, like that's the Gen Z kid. Obviously says his real name. So they call the Gen Z kid in. And Liam isn't there for that because it's like, I don't know. Actually, or Liam's in like the other room because it's still important for them to like update him because he was basically framed. And so Liam presses his ear against the door as the Gen Z kid is like pulled in for basically interrogation. And more or less what ends up happening is the Gen Z kid denies it, says he thinks it's Liam because Liam and the science teacher like have beef. Then is showed the security cam footage. And when he realizes that, the gig is up, basically, the Gen Z kid goes on about the science teacher deserved it. The science teacher was telling everyone that the sun was a real thing and that he was spreading lies and that he was trying to indoctrinate everyone into the matrix and that he needed to be stopped and taught a lesson. And they're like, well, why did you I'm assuming it was you who had the anonymous tip. And the Gen Z kid's like, yes, I sent in the anonymous tip. He was having like an anime villain confession, bro. It was crazy. He's like, yes, I sent in the anonymous tip. Liam deserved it too, because he was also thinking the sun was real. He's pro the Matrix. He's trying to enslave all of us. And so, yeah, the Gen Z kid, they're like, all right, we heard enough.